Hi everyone, welcome back. I am Souvik and you are watching Know New Things. In today's video, our topic is static keyword. Static is a keyword in Java which helps in memory management. A class can be static, a variable can be static, and a method can be static. Before diving into static part, we need to understand how Java program executes in our system. Here I have a diagram. The source code you can see here. It is the code we write in our system. After compilation, the code becomes bytecode, which is also known as dot class file. Means when we compile the source code, Java compiler compiles the source code and creates the dot class file. This dot class file also known as bytecode. This is the bytecode only which makes Java platform independent. Suppose you have this bytecode only or the dot class file only. You take the class and you try to use or execute the file in some other machine. For example, say this source code has been compiled by a Windows machine. You get the bytecode and place in a Mac. The code will run perfectly. There will not be any error. This is how Java becomes platform independent. You take the bytecode and use some other machine other than the OS from which this bytecode has been created. In the other OS, the code will run perfectly. But when this bytecode goes to JVM, it becomes platform dependent. How? JVM is platform dependent. JVM is Java virtual machine which is responsible for executing your Java code. When .class file goes to JVM, JVM line by line executes each statement. One thing you must remember, when source code gets compiled into bytecode, the compiler which helps to create the bytecode is the Java compiler, also known as Java C. But when the .class file or bytecode goes to JVM, JVM use interpreter to execute the code. It is not the case that Java only use compiler. Yes, for compiling the code, Java use the Java C compiler, and when the bytecode goes to JVM, JVM executes the code line by line through an interpreter. To understand static, we need to understand JVM also. JVM is this thing. Don't you think it is very small? Yeah, let me show you the bigger picture. It is the inside part of our JVM. From inside, JVM looks like this. JVM has loading, JVM has linking, JVM has initialization. These are parts of JVM. In loading part, the entire class loads. In linking part, if any static variable or any static method present in the file, then that gets initialized. And in initialization stage, all static blocks are executed. And here only our static method and static variables initialized. After this part, when control comes here to here, in runtime data area, there are many stages like method area, heap area, stack area, PC register, and native method. But before all this thing, before this runtime data area, our static variables and static methods gets executed. How? This part, this part is known as class loader. Just because class is getting initialized here, it is known as class loader. In this class loader part, our static variables and static methods get executed. I will show you in the code, but for now, just remember this. And when control comes out of this class loader part, it comes to the runtime data area. Here, method area is present, heap area is present, and stack area is present. Other two are there also. You may have heard there are two memory area in Java. One is stack, one is heap. Then you would ask me, what is this method area? Method area is the place where JVM takes all the method present in it. And here also we need to understand one more thing. There is a method which is special in case of Java code, which is present in all Java code, and without that method any Java code cannot be executed. Yes, I am talking about the main method. If main method is absent in any code, then the execution of the Java code will never start. JVM is responsible for searching the main method. As soon as JVM finds the main method, it brings the main method in method area. After executing line by line, if it encounters any object, then JVM stores the reference variable in stack area and JVM creates the object in heap area. Don't worry, I will show you in code. This is how JVM works, but one thing you need to remember, that this runtime data area is a later part. Before this thing, class loader is present, and in class loader only static variables and static methods are executed. Static variables and static method don't wait for the object creation. This is why these static variables are also known as class variables. These class variables or static variables are not part of any object. It is part of class. As soon as the class loads, this all static variable or method gets executed. Later comes the object part. I have a small snippet through which I will make you understand. Just see, here I have a class of apple. This class apple have three properties. One is weight, one is cost, and one is color. Where weight and cost are instance variable or non-static variable, and the color is static variable. In this class only, I have two methods. One is getWeight, which is non-static. Here static keyword is not present. And I have another method getColor. The static keyword is present in this case. So this method is a static method. Here I have created the main method. Inside main method, I have created the object of apple class. This AP is the reference variable. As soon as JVM encounters the main method, it takes the main method in this place, method area, and start executing. But you must remember Before execution of the main method, when this class gets loaded in the JVM, that time only this static variable and this static method gets executed. The execution of these two things happens before this object, and when JVM encounters this object, it creates the object in the heap area here, and AP is the reference variable. JVM stores the AP in stack area and it creates the object in heap area. In heap area, the location this object has been created, this address JVM stores in the reference variable AP. Here, this is how JVM maps the location of object with the reference variable. And this is how your static things get executed. This is a rough diagram. I will show you in code how static things works. Let me go to the code. Here, for your convenience, I have mentioned here what all questions I will be answering in this video. First question is, can a class be static? Means, can I make a class static? Let's find its answer. Here I have a class of apple. Inside that class I have two properties, properties, weight and color. But you can see these two properties are of non-static type. Means these two variables are instance variables. I have inside main method I have created the object of apple class and I tried to access the properties. Inside class only I have passed the default values in weight 10 and in color red. And in main method I printed those properties. I have stored the weight in WT and stored the color in CL. Now the question is, can I make a class static? Just make this class static with the help of static keyword. See, compiler is showing us an error and it says modifier static not allowed here. If I have to make a class static, then I have to add the static keyword in the class name. But when compiler is not allowing me to do so, that means a class cannot be static in Java. But there is an exception. I can have a static class when I have nested classes. For example, in case of an inner class, I can have static classes, but inner classes are a topic of another video. And let's jump to our next question. Next question is, can static variables be accessed through reference variable? And can static variables be accessed through class name? The point is, these two questions can be answered in one code snippet. Here it is. You can see I have a class and with two properties where one property is non-static and one property is static. Weight is instance variable and the price is class variable because I have mentioned static things belongs to class. It is part of class only. Inside orange class, one non-static variable or instance variable weight is present and a static variable price is present. In main method, I have created the object and To the reference variable AP, I accessed the weight property. Here you can see no error. So I can successfully access the weight property. For the static property price, through this reference variable, I have accessed the static property and stored inside int variable CL. Here is no error, so I can do it. One more thing you can see, I have also accessed the price property which is of static type, but here it is not the reference variable, rather it is the class name. So it is clear that I can access the static properties of a class through a class name to a reference variable. I have stored those things in respective variables, and let me run this code to show you the output. I am pulling this console window so that it will be visible. And here is our answer. In this line, non-static variable weight is 10. Calling through reference variable. In the second line of printing, we are printing calling through reference variable CL. This is the price. Price was static, and here we access the price through reference variable. This is why I mentioned here calling through reference variable CL. Calling through reference variable CL is the variable which holds this price value and which happens to be 30, and it is getting printed here. And the last line of printing, I have accessed the static variable or static data member of orange class to the class name, which is why I have written calling through class name, and here it is the value calling through class name 30. 30 is the value of the static variable price here. Let's go move to the next question. Next question is, can static variable be accessed inside non-static method, and can non-static variables be accessed inside static method? Here you can see the interchangeability. First, static variables inside non-static method and non-static variables inside static methods. Let's find out the answer. Here I have created a class whose name is mango. I have two properties, weight and cost. Weight is the instance variable of the class and cost is a static variable. But along with these two, I have two methods. One method is print weight and the other one is print cost. But one thing you should notice, the print weight method is non-static, where the print cost method is of static type. Fetch the values of these two properties inside these static and non-static methods. Inside non-static method, I can easily access the non-static variable as well as the static variable. But the tricky part is inside static method. Inside static method, I can access the static variable, but the thing is I cannot access the non-static variable. You will ask me why. The question is, this static variable is part of the class only but not the object. When the class loaded, I have shown you in diagram, this static variable and static method gets executed. It does not wait for the object to be created and to get executed together. As soon as the class loaded, the static variable got initialized and static method got executed. Whatever is written inside the static method, it has been printed in the class loading time only. And later part, JVM encounters the main method and it creates the object. So the conclusion, inside static method, I cannot access the non-static variable because non-static variables are dependent on the class. When the class, when the object of the class is created, at that time, these non-static variables becomes live. Other than the object, you cannot access the instance variable or non-static variable, but you can access the static variables and static methods, which is why inside static method, I cannot access the non-static variable. Here also, I have fetched the static and non-static method through reference variable, and I have also fetched the static method through class name. Let me run the code. Here you can see, as I have printed this non-static method before the static method, it is getting printed. From the non-static part, which is print weight, I have written the method name first, then weight, then cost, and then dash. It is printing accordingly. In case of static method, I have printed the method name print cost. Here is the print cost, and here is the value of the static variable cost is 20, which I have supplied here. But if I show you this instance variable inside static method, it shows an error which says non-static field weight cannot be referenced from static context, which is why I make a comment here. Non-static variable inside static method is not allowed. And as I have printed the static method twice, one through reference variable and one through class name, this thing are getting printed twice. Now let's move to our next question. Our next question is static block or static initialization block and non-static block or instance initialization block or Java block. I will answer these two questions in my next video, but for now I have tried to make you understand what is static and how it gets executed inside the JVM. I hope you understand, and if you don't understand, you can ask me for correction in the comment part. And if you have watched the video till this time, you can consider subscribing this channel. Thanks for watching.